Anniversary or birthday, if you prefer, of the greatest movie monster of all time, King Kong, which came out absolutely greatest movie of all time, greatest movie character of all time.
Yeah.
And it came out, was released, shown the first time on March 2nd at New York City's two biggest theaters, and it sold out 10 shows a day for the first 4 days in the heart of the Depression. And its popularity has only gotten bigger since then. We have got a great panel here. To my immediate left is Bob Burns, who most of you probably know.
I'm the guy that stole, got this, it up with it, yeah.
He probably needs no introduction, but he's got a long list of ways you can introduce Bob. Monster memorabilia curator, protector.
Pictures in the post office, aren't
author, Halloween entertainment director extraordinaire, and part-time gorilla himself, actually.
Oh, sorry. I just get out once in a while.
Down past Bob is Bill Stout, well known. I think the premier paleo artist in the world, but on top of that, he's done many, many other things.
From next best thing you call me.
Right. Books, museum murals, theme park design, book covers, album covers. It goes with movies. Great cover.
Yeah. Bob. Yes, sir. How did you get this? No. It's actually quite a story, as a matter of fact. My stories are always long. No, this is short. A friend of mine, when they were going to do a picture called Jack the Giant Killer.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? Well, they went over to Jim Danforth and all the guys animating stuff, watching, did a lot of designs and stuff. Well, they didn't want to spend time building a lot of armatures because they're expensive to make. Well, they heard that RPO, who was selling their studio, had a whole bunch of armature built. Just a bunch of them. They didn't even know what they were. These people came in and took the place over. They didn't know what they were. So they went over and bought a bunch of animals and different things they found. Unfortunately, they didn't find the T-Rex. It's too bad. But anyway, in just an unmarked box with all the other stuff was this guy. Now, when it was Phil Tellison went over, he's the guy that opened the box the first time. And they opened it up, and they looked, and it had the son of Kong, what was left of son of Kong on here, with a gray fur. Now, it was totally rotted away. Really bad. Like I said, it was like bubble gum. You'd stick to it. It was awful. It smelled like burnt automobile tires. Really bad. And it was actually starting to pit the metal. Whatever the glue was starting to change. And so Phil had him steam cleaned to clean all this off, which was kind of a cool thing because the guy was down at a car place where they steam engines. And the guy said, "I'm killing King Kong. This is great, man." Oh, boy. Anyway, so that guy ended up this way. Now, the reason this puppet existed, they had two Kongs originally. And one was torn down immediately for parts used for other animals. Because to them, this is a tool. That's all these are. They're just tools. They have to build this thing again. And so this one, they decided to do Son of Kong the same year, which was not as good a film by any means, But so they tore the Kong off of this, the rabbit fur, and put the gray fur on top of it. And that's the only reason this guy even existed. I think somebody just put him in a drawer and forgot all about him. So Phil, of course, recognized it immediately what it was, and he just said, nothing's going to be, we're not tearing this down for parts at all. We're going to keep it the way it is. And now, they did take 2 fingers off. Jim Danforth did. And there's a 2-headed giant in Jack the Giant Killer, and he has to pick up an anchor or something, and it was just wire. They were using mainly wire stuff. Well, it kept breaking, so he just, here again, this is a tool. They just took 2 fingers off so they could use it. Well, we got it back. We're missing already when Phil found him. I don't know if they just fell off or came off, or nobody really knows what happened to those. And so he gave it or loaned it to a place called Cars with a Star out in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. It was over by Buena Park somewhere. And this guy wanted to go into props, so he taught Phil into loaning this, a miniature of the fairy from Giant Behemoth, and the close-up Behemoth head that he borrowed from him for the show. And so he had it for a couple of years, maybe 3 years, and then for some reason the museum went belly up, and the stuff all disappeared, everything, And Robbie the Robot was another character who was over there. And so one day, everybody had forgotten about it, including me. I forgot all about it. And one day I just happened to be talking to Phil, and I said, "What happened to King Kong?" He goes, "Geez, I don't know. I really don't know." He said, that the museum was belly up. I'm going to have to call the guy. So he calls the guy and he says, oh yeah, a lot of that stuff got filtered, or just filtered when we were putting stuff away. We don't know whatever happened to that, got lost, and so he mentioned some other stuff. Okay, great. So Phil was, like, pretty ticked, but well, what can you do? It's gone now. So Bill Malone, who's a good buddy of mine, bought Robbie the robot from this guy. So we had to go pick Robbie up, because I was the only one that had a big enough wagon at the time to pick him up. And we went there, and there was a warehouse they had down past Magic Mountain somewhere, a big, giant warehouse. And we walked in looking around, and I happened to look in the corner. Now, Dave Allen, years ago, who was an excellent model maker and also an excellent animator, had built a case and sculpted a Kong off of this, a full-size Kong standing in that cross thing he was in the theater. And up above, in a case itself, with this guy. And so you saw him, and you could see the armature. Well, I happened to look around, and over in the corner, behind a whole bunch of stuff, I saw this guy sitting there in the case. So I knew he was there. And I tried to talk to the guy who was the brother of the guy who had the thing there to see if I'd get a Kong. Of course, he didn't know me from Adam. I could have been just some guy trying to make off with it. So as soon as I got back, I called Phil, and I said, Phil, you're not going to believe this. I found a Kong. He said, what are you talking about? I said, found it. I was out with Bill getting this thing. So he calls him again. Right away, the guy says, oh, you're mistaken. No, you couldn't have seen it. It's not there. I looked. It's not there. And so I said, well, he's got a witness. Bill Malone is with him. And he said, so it better show up. And I want it here tomorrow when I'm calling the cops and say I know where it is and don't try to hide it. Well, begrudgingly, he brought it back. But as he did, he said, oh, by the way, I want to open another museum in Oregon, so can I keep it? He goes, no. No. And he says, but besides, where's my ferry boat? Where's the close-up head? Well, those did disappear. We heard they were sold, but we don't know whatever happened to those. But at least he lived. So Phil called me the day he got it back and said, come over, get over here. He was at Coast Effects Studio, which is when he used to do the Doughboy commercials and all this, when they were still doing real animation, not the CG. Well, I wasn't going to that. But anyway, so I got over, and there he is sitting there, and he just had him steam cleaned. He cleaned him off really fast, and he said, you found this guy. He was lost for, I think it was about 3 years altogether, and he said, so you're now the new caretaker of him. You're the only guy who can take care of him, and more people are going to see him at your place than see him at the studio anyway. So that's how I got King Kong. It was actually that easy. It was, I could have searched for him for 8,000 years and never found it, but that's just the progression way it worked, and so here he is for everybody else to get to see too. So, okay.